is going to be on doing a basic taxiway. And what we're going to do today is a taxi line, or drawing taxiways is basically just drawing lines, connecting the dots. It's not really that difficult. The difficult part is actually figuring out what's the most effective and most time efficient way to do it. So sometimes you just have to look at what you're doing, and if it's too difficult, you've got to break it down into sections. So what I've got up here today is Fort Lauderdale Airport. Excuse me. And one of the time saving efforts here is up in the defaults area. What we're going to do is I'm going to do this section of taxiway down here. It's south of runway 09, and I'm setting it to a pavement of asphalt type, and we're going to set the roughness to 0.35. Now the roughness doesn't really change the visual appearance of the taxiway. All it does is change how the friction on the tires of the airplane react to it. And because our runway is generally east and west, I'm going to set my heading for the texture of 090. And then here for the markings and the lights is where you want to look at what you're going to do and decide, is it quicker to establish the lines and the lights now while you're doing it, or is it quicker to come back later on and put in the lights separately and the lines? I'm going to go ahead and put in the lines and lights now, just to save some time. Alright, so what we're going to do is you're going to start clicking and just create a line of segment dots and trace around where the underlay image is. You know, you always want to go in one direction. You never want to start one way and come back another way. Alright, so I'm going to start right here at the edge of the blast pad, and I'm going to go in a counterclockwise direction this time. So I click once, and then I just start clicking and tracing around the area that I want to have my taxiway go. And then I'm going to make a big jump down here. Now the reason I'm going to put in a node on each side of the runway here is that I know I'm going to have to come back in later on and do the taxiway down this direction here. So if I put the nodes here, what happens is I can come back and use the snap to vertices function to have a place where I can just snap the two lines, the sections together, and it'll fit just like a Lego. And I'm going to go up as close as I can to the runway here, and then I'm going to stop at that runway and go to the other side of the taxiway from there. Now one thing you never want to do is trying to get to where you're making a hole, because we're going to cut some holes in our pavement here, but you never want to try and cut a hole that's up next to the edge of the taxiway that you're creating. This one here has some gaps, so we'll go ahead and leave it this one here, but this one does not, because we want that to show there. So we're going to come all the way up to the end here and put that node there, and then we're going to start in back here, and we're going to leave these parts exposed. This is just basically just going to be one big hole. And you don't want to put in too many nodes, because that bogs down the system. So you do as minimal amount of nodes as you can to get the curves that you need. And the system is pretty flexible. So like here, we don't have to go node, node, node. To make that a curve, we can just go one here, one there, and then it bounces back. Now here's another one where it's too close to the runway, so we're just going to put one there. Then we're going to come down on the inside of that, there, that. And we're going to continue on our way all the way around here. And then finally back up to our starting point, and it automatically creates the line back to the source. And we press enter to create our asphalt surface. Now you'll notice that this part is dark and this part is see-through, and that's important. So what we're going to do now is we'll start bending these lines here to match the curves, and this is an important thing here. All right, now on a Mac, you press the Option key or the Alt key and you drag across the node to create handles. Now, if you notice what happened there, it gives you a clue as to what I just did is I crossed the lines there, which means that the surface will not be visible when I try and display it in X-plane. So what I have to do is I'm still holding down everything, I flip it, turn back the other way, notice it went dark again. Cross the line, back in the line. Now this way here, it'll actually show an X-plane. So I'm going to spin it around a little bit more, and then I'm going to let up with the mouse while still holding down the Alt key. And now I can pull on this side here, and I can curve that line just about to any shape that I want it to be. Now you don't have to be perfect. And spin it up a little bit there. And this one here. Oh, did it again. Once you get a feel for which direction you have to start pulling your handles in, then you'll kind of get the hand and you won't start making that mistake. Okay, and this one here. See, I guessed right that time. Okay, now with the handles here, if you read in the web manual or world editor manual, it'll tell you that there's different types of handles, Bezier curves that you can do, and it's great to look that stuff up. I'm not going to go into it in depth here because it's just going to take too much time. But basically, the farther you move the arrow and the more you stretch it out, the more pronounced or level it is, depending on how much you go this direction. Okay, but like I said, it's very flexible. All right, now the second part is that we have these holes here that we need to cut. So while our taxiway is still highlighted, we go in here and we select the hole tool. And again, you have the same options here, and on these here, I know I want the lines and the lights, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select a solid yellow border and the taxiway edge lights blue. Okay, and I'm just going to do this one here, and then the rest will be self-explanatory. And again, one direction, and that's close enough. And I press enter. Alright, and then go back to vertex mode, or you can press V. Alright, and I'm going to curve this one here, and I guessed right that time. Alright, and I'll pull this one up a bit. And like I said, with these curves here, you can basically create any kind of shape that you need. Curve it any direction. You can do both sides of this curve here to get it perfect if you want to. No, that's not necessarily that you need to do it, but you know, and that's pretty much it. Now the same techniques apply. Is if you're going to go in here and you're going to use the line tool to create all your taxi lines or your center line lights or anything like that. Same thing. Create a string of nodes, bend them to whatever shape you need to do, and you're cherry. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. Thanks a lot.